Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you guys have asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. A couple of things. First of all, thank you to everybody that's picked up Magic Button and Evoke this week. I really appreciate it. Both Magic Button through Penguin and Evoke through Murphy's Magic have been massive, and it's down to every single one of you guys supporting me, so thank you so much. Please let me know what you thought of Evoke and Magic Button. Now, don't forget, I film these things on normally a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's currently Wednesday at around about 2 o'clock at the moment. So if you want to guarantee to get your question answered, then make sure that you get it in before then. If I miss your question, I'm very, very sorry. That can happen sometimes. Ask it again down below. I'll get to it next week. And also, I don't really prepare this beforehand. I just look at the questions and answer them off the cuff. If something requires a longer video, that's something that I would do down the line. And kind of fit it into the schedule. But with that all being said, this whole Q&A lives and dies by the questions that you ask. So once again, I say this every Sunday from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you've watched any videos on Magic TV or if you've listened to me at any point, I really appreciate it. With that all being said, it's time. It's ready. Let's do this. We're going to get into this week's Q&A. So the first question is from Jay Plays, who says, "Hi Craig, I ordered Evoke and I'm excitedly waiting for it to arrive. Thank you very much, buddy. Let me know what you think. Question, do you have any advice for someone who is naturally more introverted and or dislikes performing? I put myself in this category as I've never enjoyed being the centre of attention. Is there any place in Magic for people who don't perform?" Absolutely. Look, Magic's a hobby and different people get different things out of hobbies. Perfect example is, there's train spotters. They don't know how to drive a train. Doesn't stop them from looking at trains and learning all about trains. And in every hobby there's different types of people. So yeah, you have a lot of performers in Magic, but you also have a lot of people that don't perform. Magical historians are really popular. They're sort of people that look into the history of Magic and they find it fascinating, all about the history of Magic and what came first and who did this and who did that. That's a very popular thing to do. And a lot of people are secret collectors. A lot of people get into Magic just because they have a burning desire to know how it works. And when they open up that door into the Magic world and they realize it's a rabbit warren that keeps going down and down and down, they become more and more fascinated about learning methodology. Doesn't mean that they're ever going to perform. A lot of people don't ever perform, but they want to learn more secrets and learn more tricks. There's a lot of people that are into cardistry, and they're into learning really technically difficult sleight of hand with cards, stuff that I could never do in a million years, but they don't want to perform, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's some people that only want to perform on social media, and that's cool. There's some people that will only perform for their families and friends. There's some people who just want to sit down and session with other magicians and not really ever perform for paid public. Look, you get what you want out of Magic, and that's the most important thing. You can't have somebody look, you're going to have people on the internet, and I did this in the past, and it's the wrong thing to do, but you're going to have people on the internet that's going to say, you should do this. If you want to perform, if you don't want to perform, then get out of Magic. Don't let anyone tell you what to do or what not to do. Look, I would say that Magic is, at the end of the day, a performance art. And if you do get to the position where you start performing, it's a little bit like a drug. You want to do it more, you want to do it more, you want to do it more. But if you never want to perform, that's fine. Look at Lloyd Barnes. Lloyd Barnes is considered one of the top creators in the world. One of the top creators in the world. And he doesn't perform. Never performed at a paid gig. Performs to family and friends, never performed at a paid gig. If you dislike performing, that's fine. There's a million reasons to get into Magic, and it doesn't have to be about performing Magic to people. Okay, we've got one more question from Jay Plays, who says, do you use invisible thread in any of your live paid performances? I'll use loops. I do use loops. And I kind of have a nice routine that I do with Gravity, but I don't do it very often. Not that I don't like it. I spent ages learning Gravity, and I put a really nice routine together that I really liked. But I don't do it very often. I keep forgetting to take Gravity with me is the main reason. But loops I do. Loops I very much like. But to be honest, in the petty household, the person that does more with thread is Ryland. He does an awful lot. He's fascinated about floating stuff. He really is. So he does an awful lot with thread and making things rise and so on and so forth. For years, I did, was it Spooked by Nick Einhorn, which used a mini thread reel to do a haunted pack. And I think it's been superseded now, in all honesty, by Leviosa, which is just a beautiful piece of magic. Anytime I see somebody do Leviosa, I'm so impressed. Watching Killian do it on AGT, he absolutely killed it. Yeah, Leviosa is brilliant. Ryland does Leviosa. I don't do Leviosa. I love watching it, and I think that somebody like Nick Lacapo does it better than anyone I've ever seen in the world, including the creators. But yeah, I tend to just use loops, and that's it. I think levitations are great, but to be honest, I think that they're better on stage than they are close-up. I think that the best ways to use thread in a close-up environment is not so much to levitate something, but more to make it move. Like, I love doing the moving glasses with a loop. I think that's amazing. You're not really levitating it, you're making it move. I think that that's kind of probably the best way to do it. Okay, so the next question is from Mike Marlowe, Mentalist, who says, maybe a 5x5 idea, but what's your favourite gambling betcha type routines and effects and performances? That was a lot of backslashes, geez. I am doing a 5x5 on this, actually. You are psychic. I am definitely doing a 5x5 coming up very, very soon. And it's going to be on my favourite bar betches, my favourite bar effects and so on and so forth. I'm doing a couple of them, actually. So I'm not going to talk about it too much now. I'll talk about it at some point down the line on Magic TV, but I will tell you that my favourite gambling style routine of all time, and anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time will know the answer to this, it's 3-disc Monty, tossing the discs. I love the 3-disc Monty. I think it's fantastic, and I've spent a lot of time studying it, and I love performing it every chance I get. So 3-disc Monty is my favourite, but there's lots of other stuff that you can do as well, and I'll be getting into that on the 5x5. Okay, so the next question is from 03142, who says, question, do you think door-to-door sales could work to get gigs? No, I don't. I don't think so. No. And I used to do door-to-door sales, so I used to work for Empower. In fact, I used to run my own door-to-door sales company, my own marketing company that specialized in face-to-face sales, called Magic Force Promotions. That was the first company I ever set up many years ago. But after that, I worked for Empower, doing gas and electric door-to-door and teaching people how to do door-to-door gas and electric. And it's where I became a good salesperson. I genuinely believe that as a magician, if you want to run a business successfully, you need to get good at sales. And I think that doing door-to-door sales is one of the best ways to get good at sales. But I don't see how that would help you get gigs. Because when you're doing door-to-door, there's two options. You can go commercially or you can go residentially. The difference is commercially is like industrial estates and shops and retail outlets and stuff like that. The problem is going commercially wouldn't work because, you know, I used to do commercial door-to-door sales with virginbiz.net. Now, we're talking back in the day now. This is back when the internet first started and people were starting to get websites, but a lot of companies and businesses didn't have websites and didn't know how to set one up. And virginbiz.net was a company set up by Virgin to basically set up websites for business owners at a fraction of the cost. And they created a portal where they could upload their own stuff and make their own websites. It was a little bit like what you see of Wix today, but you know, it was before any of that. And we used to go door to door to businesses and say, hey, have you got a website? And talk about why you need a website and sign them up there and then for Virgin to set up a website for them. And that was great because it was something that the business owner wanted. You walk into a business, you know, let's say that you're walking around on a Thursday afternoon and, you know, you're walking into a shop and you go, hey, want to book a magician? It's kind of like, it's not even something that they would consider doing. So, and then they'd be busy serving staff and so on and so forth. So that leaves you with residential, where you're literally knocking on doors. Someone comes to the door and you say, hey, you know, and that's where I used to do gas and electric. But again, I just don't see how that would work. I just don't see how that would work, because the thing is, the reason digital marketing works when you're doing when you're doing marketing a magic company, is because you can get your advert in front of people that are searching for something specific. So you can, through the use of SEO and PPC and content marketing and so on and so forth, you can make it so that when somebody is searching for example, a wedding magician, they see your advert. So you're being displayed and you're showed to somebody who is looking for what it is that you're offering. The problem with going door to door is you don't know who they are. You don't know what situation they are in their life. They may not be planning an event. They might not have children. Let's say you're a birthday party magician. They may not have children. Therefore, they don't want to book a kids party magician. Let's say you're a close-up magician. How is that conversation going to go? Hey, hi, hi, you the house owner? Yeah, you got a lovely house. My name's Craig. Nice to meet you. So I come from a company called Slightly Unusual, and we represent magicians. We perform literally all over the UK. We do everything from close-up magic to grand scale illusion shows. I've got one simple question to ask you. Are you planning an event at any point in the next 6 months to a year that requires entertainment? And if so, have you thought about having a magician? I just think it's kind of a shot in the dark. It's literally the equivalent of walking around the streets going, hey, would you like to book a magician for an event? Would you like to book a magician for an event? I think that your marketing efforts would be, could you potentially find somebody? Yes. Would that person book you, or would they find it weird that you're knocking on their door? I don't know. I think you'd be better off spending the time that you're considering spending walking around, learning about SEO and online marketing and kind of approaching it that way. I think it would just be a waste of time, to be honest. Okay, so the next question is from Devaro, who says, do you perform Cardiographic by Martin Lewis? I did do for years. Ryland does it in his show. He's got the Joel Miranda version, which is the remote control version with the massive pad. So he's got this big stand and he puts the sketch pad on. And the Joel Miranda version, which was licensed by Martin Lewis, is great because it's remote controlled. So he goes nowhere near the pad, and the card rises up and then he just comes out and takes it off. It looks great. So Ryland does that. I did the close-up version for a while, but I don't really do it anymore. But what I do is, if you've seen the executive pad video, if you've seen the executive pad that Penguin Magic brought out, the executive pad itself has another section of routines by me. And one of my favorite routines with the executive pad is a version of Cardiographic, but it's not a visible rise. So you bring out the pad and you draw a picture of a card on there. They pick a card, they think of a card, you draw a picture of a card on there, and that's not the card. And you go, no, that's the front of the deck, and you make it 3D like you normally would, and they sign the bottom, and then you give them the piece of paper, and in their hand, now when they look at it, it's risen up. So it's really cool. I very much enjoy performing that because it's happening in their hand, and I actually prefer that for a close-up performance than the close-up version that got released of Cardiographic. So I don't do it anymore. Ryland does. He uses the remote control version. My friend Nemid Phoenix, he uses it all the time in his act, but I tend not to use it. I do a version that you can learn on the Executive Pad project. Okay, so the next question is from Brandon Pierce, who says, not related to magic, but do you and Ryland watch the Doctor Who specials on Disney+? If so, what did you think of them? And more specifically, what did you think of the bi-generation David Tennant's 14th Doctor still kicking around as opposed to a normal regeneration? Yes, we watched all of them, really liked it, really thought that David Tennant, it was great to have him back. Honestly, after watching a couple of the episodes with David Tennant in, I wished he was there for a whole season. It kind of made me a bit sad knowing that we only had him for 3 episodes. I also very much like Shitigawa. I thought that his first episode, the Church of Ruby Road or whatever it was, I thought that was a really good episode of Doctor Who. It felt fresh. I wasn't too keen on the song and dance routine in the middle of it, but I thought that the whole thing was great. You know, a lot of the stuff that I'm into, people bitch online. You know, like magicians argue with each other about magic all of the time. wrestling fans, I'm into wrestling. Wrestling fans argue with each other all the time. Oh, AEW's better, WWE's better, TNA's better. And Doctor Who fans bitch and moan all the time. Oh, I didn't like the Chiblin era. He wrecked Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. Oh no, it was messed up before that by Stephen Moffat. You know, I just enjoy watching this stuff. I don't really want to get into a debate about it online. In terms of the bi-generation, I thought it was great. I mean, obviously, it opens up the door for more episodes with David Tennant. My own little fan theory, if you want to call it that, knowing that Russell T Davies likes to embrace the history of the show, I think that the reason that they've gone with that 14th Doctor type storyline with David Tennant still being there but kind of just a separate thing is because I think that they're wanting to bring the whole Vale Yard story to actually happen. So if you don't know, the Vale Yard is meant to be an incarnation of Doctor Who, the Doctor when he becomes evil. And I think that that's what could happen. I think that something could happen with David Tennant's Doctor that causes him to go evil, maybe something to do with Catherine Tate and her family dying, I don't know. And I think he'll end up being the big bad in a couple of seasons' time. Now, I might be wrong. I could be wrong, but knowing what I know of David Tennant, I think that he'd really quite find that role exciting as an actor, and I think Russell T Davies would enjoy going down that route as well. So, it's probably a fan theory at best, but I could see that sort of thing happening. But in terms of the specials, yeah, both me and Ryland and Thea, we all loved it. Okay, so the next question is from Hi, Mr. Mike, who says, and by the way, hi. He says, hello, Craig. Hello, hi, Mr. Mike. He says, I purchased Nightshade and I love it. Thank you. I've been playing around with taking the silver split coin and adding one copper piece to create a super triple coin. I've been practicing the night worker routine with it. You being a creative genius and a living legend, I was wondering, I don't know about that. I was wondering if you'd ever tried this and if you've got any thoughts or tips on pulling it off. No, I am not a genius. I'm an idiot. You, sir, are a genius. I think that's a great idea. Never thought about adding the extra bit in and making it a super triple coin. That's very clever. That's very, very clever. And now you've sent me down a rabbit warren because I'm meant to be working after doing this. I'm in my office and now I'm going to be sitting at my desk messing around with split coins for the next few hours because you just said that. That genuinely is one of the best things that anyone suggested with Nightshade. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I'm annoyed with myself that I've worked with this set for over a decade and I never had that idea. You, sir, are a genius. Okay, so the next question is from Anthony DeLongpre, who says, question, hi Craig, what happened to your investigation into Mr. Blonde? I investigated it and I know exactly what happened, and I'm not releasing the video yet. And there's a few reasons why I'm not releasing the video, and I don't want to get into that here. But I have a video that's shot. It's private on YouTube. It's uploaded. It's there. It's shot. And it's about an hour and 20 minutes. And it's all about Mr. Blonde. And one day when I can, it will see the light of day. Now, I don't know when that time is. I can't give you a time frame. And I can't tell you why I'm not doing anything with that video yet. But I can't put it up yet. But the second that I do put it up, I will, and you will know about it. So, yeah, the investigation's finished, and the video is done, and at some point it'll see the light of day. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Triton, who says, hi, Craig, will you be doing the lead-up to the Blackpool videos like last year again? The excitement is already building, and we need more. Yes, 100%. I'm definitely doing that, my friend. I've already started filming interviews. I've just before filming this, I did an interview with Chris Congreve a couple of days ago. I did an interview with Matthew Wright. I've got several other interviews lined up this month. I'm going to have a ton. Oh, I need to get back to Mark Mason and Magic Dream. Oh, I keep forgetting. Okay, yes, 100%. I will be doing those videos. I'm currently in the middle of putting them together, along with juggling a million other things as well. But 100%, yes. You will be seeing lots of videos on the run-up to Blackpool. Okay, so the next question is from Artie Loon, who says, in regards to the current style of magic, is routining your magic as important as it once was? Seems like it's all just straight to the point instead of building to the moment. Good question. I think it very much depends on the environment in which you perform and the type of performer you are, but more importantly, where you perform. And what I mean by that is routining is just as important as ever before if you perform on stage, or you perform like a formal parlor show or a formal close-up show, or you're doing a set like that. If you're doing social media magic, a lot of the time it's just a camera. It's just like, hey, I'm going to show you something. And a lot of times these days, social media is just reels. It's sub 60-second videos to camera. A lot of the time you're not even talking. And even if it's longer form content, it's normally one trick. But a lot of hobbyists and a lot of amateurs, they don't really put shows on for their friends and family. They'll have something in their pocket and they'll say, hey, let me show you a trick. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said earlier, you can do anything that you want to in this wonderful world of magic, but they're not going to put a bigger emphasis on routining as somebody else, because a lot of the time they're just doing one trick. They're doing a trick to their friend, and then they're moving on to talk about something else. Even close-up magicians, if you're a professional close-up magician and you're working a wedding, for example, or a corporate function or a private party, and there's like 100 people there and you've got an hour and a half to get around 100 people, your ass is going to have to hustle. You're not going to be able to procrastinate for too long. So you're going to be hustling, you know, you're going to be probably performing one or two tricks to that group, and then you're going to be moving on, doing a couple of different tricks, then move on to the next group, do a couple of different tricks, and you're not going to be thinking about routining that much because you just want to do stuff that's quick and visual. So it's like, hey, let me show you something with this. Great, I'm going to do one more for you. Is that all right? But where it does become important is when you're doing a stage show, where you're doing a stage show, you're doing a formal performance or a competition act or something like that. That's when it becomes important, because you're right. Routining is important as it ever has been, but only if it's important to you. If you're performing on stage, so Ryland, I've talked about him doing this competition act at Blackpool. He's been working on this now for about 6 to 8 months. And there's probably about 10 or 12 set magic pieces in there. And he's routining from one to, he's moving from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And so it's very important for that style of act, but not for close-up magic a lot of the time. You don't need to worry about it. So it really just depends in the environment in which you're performing, I think. And also a lot of the people that get into magic these days, and I know this from going to lectures, they want to know all about the tricks. They don't really want to know about theory, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like the lectures with the tricks. I like learning new tricks. But I also like reading about theory. A lot of people don't care too much about learning about that side of things because they just want more tricks. So it very much depends on the environment in which you're performing, I think. Okay, so the next question is from Brandon Pierce, who says, what DVD set, download, or project do you feel is underlooked, that's flown under the radar, that more magicians should know about? Good question. I don't know. Anything from years ago, because a lot of the new people that are coming into magic, they don't know about the tricks that came out all of those years ago. They just don't. Like, I was speaking to a whole bunch of working magicians, and they'd never heard of Fancy a Pot of Jam by James Brown. They'd never heard of Party Animal by Matthew J. Dowden. Those were two of my go-to Bibles back in the day when it came. I would watch those DVDs over and over again till I was blue in the face. You don't see people talking about those anymore, and it's a shame. It really is. I think that G's Penguin Live, I talk about G's Penguin Live all the time. Nobody's ever seen it. I think G's Penguin Live is criminally under watched. I really do. I also think that John Archer's Penguin Live hasn't been viewed by as many people as it should have, and I think I think that more people really should have watched it. And the session by Joel Given, which is a very old book through Vanishing Ink, I don't even know if it's available anymore, but that's something that a lot of magicians should have studied, and I don't think they do. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but really it's things from years gone by, because as new people get into magic, it's maybe not available, or they're looking at the latest and greatest thing instead. Okay, so the next question is from Michael Stager, who says, hi Craig, I've been watching you for a long time. That didn't sound creepy. I've been watching you for a long time and I've been growing as a performer. I've always loved close-ups, say cards and coins, but I want to grow my show to play bigger places. Are there best tricks you would recommend looking into? I find there's so much out there. I face choice paralysis. I would say go for stuff. If you're wanting to get into performing on stage, you want to grow your show to play to bigger venues. If you're wanting to do that, look for stuff that you can perform close up, but you can also perform on stage. Because the big problem when you're performing on stage is you're doing this trick that you've never done before, and you're putting it in your act for the first time, and it can be very nerve-wracking and very stressful. Right? It doesn't become stressful when you've worked that trick in. So if you can take something that you've worked in a close-up environment and then work out how to structure it so it will work well in a stage environment, that's the easiest way. So off the top of my head, a cut and restored rope is a great thing to do. The gypsy thread routine, great thing to do. Fiber optics, great thing to do. Cards across, absolutely fantastic. Multiple selection, absolutely fantastic. There's a bunch of stuff, I've seen Matt go on stage in front of a couple of hundred people and kill with nothing more than Amverdi die. And as much as I take the mick out of the fact that he uses the die for pretty much everything, he gets a great reaction with it on stage. So I would say take the stuff that you do in close-up, look at all of the stuff that you do close-up, and see which of those routines would be appropriate for you to perform in a stage environment, because then that will give you the confidence to go in there. But if you want my suggestion, a lot of Rubik's Cube magic works really well, especially anything by Henry Harrius, Venom Cube, Cube Wall, Cube Buster, all of that stuff. I think because it's so visual, I think it plays really, really well. And then don't overspend. Don't spend too much money. I don't think you need to spend too much money, to be perfectly honest. I think that there's so many props out there that you can get cheaper. Like linking rings is another one. Look at some of the classics of magic. Linking rings, stuff with slush powder, like the Red Cup of Mystery, things like that. Look at stuff that works close up, or classics of magic that you think will translate well. I think that's probably the best bet. Okay, so the next question is Mr. Z4507, or 6, sorry, who says, "Hey Craig, great video, thank you very much. I'm doing my first lecture for magicians in a few weeks. The lecture is 10 to 15 minutes long, and I plan on teaching a close-up routine and explaining the psychology behind it. Any tips to how to construct a good lecture for magicians?" I'm sure I answered this last week. I am sure I answered this question last week, or something very, very similar to it. My advice would be make it really interactive. Make sure you include a performance so people can relate to what it is that you're actually teaching, and then make it really interactive. If you can do it in a workshop type environment, you can actually hand things out to people for them to follow along with you, that's even better. But you don't need to do that if you don't want to. But the key thing is make it really interactive, make it fast paced. If you've got a routine, for example, where you're having to do the Elmsley count, don't spend 15 minutes before teaching the Elmsley count. If they want to learn the Elmsley count, they can come and see you later on. Everyone should know how to do an Elmsley count. Gloss over it. You say, okay, here, you're going to do an Elmsley count. I'm sure you all know how to do it. Anyone who doesn't, just come and see me a little bit later on, but it's a 4 for 4 count. In essence, what you're doing is you're hiding the third card down. You're counting 4 cards as 4 cards. Let me show you what it looks like. Just kind of go down that route. You're going to lose members of the audience that are watching the lecture if you start droning on about the perfect optimal way to do this move. So yeah, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you. And have fun with it. Try to make it interesting. Every piece of advice that you would have as a performer, translate that into a lecture. So, don't just stand there in a monotone fashion being boring. Hi, my name is Craig and I'm here to teach you how to do the coins across. The coins across is really good because the coins are going to jump from this hand to this hand. It is something that everyone should... It just sounds a bit dull, right? Okay, guys, so I'm going to perform for you and explain right now the coins across. Now, this is one of my favourite tricks, and the reason it's one of my favourite tricks is because it's something I can do anytime, anywhere. If I just take 4 coins out, I'm good to go. It's also not a card trick, so people don't have preconceived ideas of what it is that I'm going to show them. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to perform this for you as well. It needs 4 coins and boom. Can you see the difference? The difference is In the second version, my tone of voice is up and down. I'm making things more interesting, just not by what I'm saying, but by how I'm saying it. And I think that's really important. Okay, so the next question is from Rob H., who says, I'm here in the US and I do a lot of weddings. The planners reach out to me, not certain where the person is who wrote to you, but weddings hire magicians all the time. I'm really surprised about that, Rob, because I've spoken to a lot of magicians in the US and they all say that wedding magic isn't really a thing. So it's interesting to know that it is a thing where you come from. So where in America are you from, Rob? And what is it that you do that's working for you? Okay, so the next question is Jay Lebowitz, who says, thanks very much for the answer. I hadn't thought of the Wilson book. There's a lot of magic packed in one place, and it's incredibly well illustrated. You're right, it's amazing. Just a heads up, Sankey posted his Back in Time Triumph as a tutorial on Tuesday on YouTube. That's great. So one of the greatest Triumph routines of all time, Jay Sankey's Back in Time, he's put on his YouTube channel. So if you haven't already done so, go and subscribe to Jay's YouTube channel. Tell him I sent you there. And go and try and find the Back in Time tutorial, because it is one of the best Triumph routines of all time. Okay, the next question is from Adrian Suter, who says, Craig, I hate you. Thanks, Adrian. Evoke is literally the deck I've been looking for over the last 10 years, but it's only in English. Please release a German version or work with a German mentalist who can create one. You seem to work with a lot of special decks recently. Are there more to come? So, two parts to that question. The first part is... look, it's down to Murphys. Murphys hold the rights to Evoke. So they have the rights to produce Evoke. It would be very easy to produce a version in a different language. That wouldn't be a difficult thing at all. It would be the costs incurred in doing so and how many people would actually need or want to buy it. I guess it really all comes down to financially how successful Evoke is, and it seems to be very successful right now, and we'll see if that continues to be the case. But you know, a lot of people like it, which is good. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever going to be another version coming out in a different language. That's a Murphy's question. Unfortunately, it's not something I can answer. So the second part of the question is, you seem to work with a lot of special decks recently. Are there more to come? I just find the whole thing fascinating. Me and Phil, I work really well with Phil. I enjoy working with Phil Smith. Phil Smith is a genius, and he makes me look good, because everyone says that Evoke is my best trick ever. Phil did most of the hard work for me, in all honesty, which is awesome. But in terms of special decks, yes. So me and Lloyd Barnes have got a deck of cards coming out at some point this year, and it is a I can't really give too much away, but it's kind of like a photo deck, but it's not, and it takes a principle that's very old. It's a very old principle in Magic and applies it in a different direction, as you would expect with a Craig Petty product. There is a metric ton of material on there. I've got 4 notes pages, just scroll with different things that you can do with this deck. And it's very different to anything you've seen. When you talk about special decks, I've really brought 2 out. 3 if you count Quantum Deck, but I don't think you can count Quantum Deck. Really specially printed decks, you got Cube 52 and you got Evoke. This is very different to both of those. Also, and here's a huge, massive, absolutely massive thing that I'm dropping here. I had an email this morning. I am 99.99% sure that I will be getting a chance to demo in very limited quantities on the Penguin stand at Blackpool my new Penguin trick. And I'm not talking about Magic Button. Magic Button is amazing. Magic Button, available from all good Magic dealers. That'll be on there as well. I'll be demoing that. I'm going to be on the Penguin stand and the Alakazam stand and my own stand. But I have heard that my new trick, the one that's coming out after Magic Button, will be getting a soft launch at Blackpool, if they can get everything done in time. We're 90% sure that we can. And it is another printed deck, and it's incredible. And if you watched Ryland's America's Got Talent performance, you might have seen that deck in action. Although Ryland was using it for one very specific performance and one very specific thing, but it can do a hell of a lot more. It's going to get launched soon, but It's another one that me and Phil worked on together, and it's incredible. Come and see me at the Penguin stand at Blackpool and keep your fingers crossed. There's a very good chance, but they're going to be very limited in quantity if we do get them. So, yeah, I'm so excited about that. I just had the email this morning, so I shouldn't have probably said something, but fuck it. So, yes, I've got something with Lloyd Barnes coming out. I've got something with Penguin coming out. And then there's another couple, but they're nowhere near ready. We are kind of with them where I was with Evoke a year ago. So we're probably about a year away from seeing anything with either one of those. So yes is the answer, but when, I'm not too sure. I would say that the Lloyd Barnes one will be out this year. I would say that the Penguin one definitely will be out in the next few months, if not at Blackpool. But the rest, probably 2025. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, have you ever learnt spinny ITR levitations? When's the best place to learn them other than the Tarantula 2? I don't do spinny levitations. I'm not too keen on the Tarantula 2, to be perfectly honest. I've never done a spinny ITR levitation in my life. No. I mean, Ryland does the rings thing. I don't know. I'm really sorry. I can't help you any more than that, but I don't really do that. It's one of the few things that I'm not really an expert at. As I say, I've got this little routine that I do with gravity that I'm happy with, and I do stuff with loops and ties and stuff. But other than that, it's not something that I do. So sorry, Divishan, I can't really help you on that one. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, again, who says, I really liked your Christmas video of your Smoke and Mirrors performance, and I love your over-the-top performance style. On the other, thank you very much, by the way, Adrian. On the other hand, I rewatched Simon Cronell's Foolus Acts, and his style is brilliant too. Do you know other magicians with this kind of understatement performance style? Andy Gladwin and Joshua J aren't like, rah! They're kind of more toned down a little bit. Preston Nyman, and when you see him perform Andy Nyman, I'd say they're more toned down as well. Talking about the Nyman, Simon Lipkin as well, incredible performer, but you know, not over the top, ridiculous over the top. He's kind of more understated. This is a question that I would have to seriously think about, because I'd have to kind of really seriously have a think about this. And but there's probably lots of people out there. There are lots of Michael Close. Is he though? Is he? No, I think he can get a little bit wacky at times. But then there's other times that Michael Vincent. Let's go with Michael Vincent and Will Houston as well. Michael Vincent and Will Houston, they're very unassuming. The magic just flows from their fingertips, but they're both very unassuming. So I'll go with Michael Vincent and Will Houston, Andy Gladwin and Joshua J. Let's go with those four, but I might have a think about it and do a longer video. So the next question is Magic Human 782, who says, did you ever look into Lior Suchard, and if so, what did you think? I haven't yet. I've got it bookmarked to actually start checking it out, but I've just been so busy on the run up to Blackpool. I don't know if I'm going to have time before Blackpool. I'm just so busy at the moment, but it is something that I'm going to look into. Okay, so the final question is from Nagini731, who says, what do you think of unbiased magic reviews, putting EDCeight as one of the worst tricks of 2023? I haven't watched it, to be honest. I haven't watched it. I mean, somebody texted me and said that he'd done that. Whatever. Look, he gave a great review to Chop. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Let him have his opinion. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, he ever bought EDCeight. I know that when he was talking about the whole Dex thing, I'm pretty sure he hasn't bought EDCeight. So it's kind of confusing that he can say it's one of the worst tricks of 2023 when he hasn't bought it. I know that he puts videos up where he says, hey, this is why I'm not going to be buying this, and this is why I'm not going to be buying that, which is fine. You know, that's his opinion. I disagree with those sort of videos, but it works for him, and he's got a following that like that sort of stuff, so that's cool. you know, if you want to do that. I know he's recently done a video about why he won't be buying Mark Lemon's new trick, which is, oh, whatever. I disagree, because, you know, without having the trick, you can't know everything about it, but whatever. But if you're going to make a list of the worst tricks of 2023 and you're going to attach your name to it, and this is the Unbiased Magic Review's worst tricks of 2023, I don't see how you can put a trick like that in that list when you don't own it. Surely to make that statement, you would have to own it and have watched the 6 hours of material from people like Mark Lemon and Pete Turner and Lloyd Barnes and Javier Fuenmayor. And you know what? It's fine. You know, that's his opinion. If he wants to put that in the list, let him. I know that a lot of people use it. I use it. It's in my wallet. It's my everyday carry. I know lots of people that have it in their everyday carry. When we were doing the Evoke giveaway and people were saying, what's your favorite trick? So many people were putting in their EDCeight, EDCeight, EDCeight. You know, I think that for $25, you get the Tyvek receipts, you get the files so you can change them around, and you get 7 hours of material, including like a 2-hour masterclass by Pete Turner. If that's like one of the worst tricks of 2023, bearing in mind there's a ton of other stuff that's come out that's absolutely awful, if he genuinely thinks that like, again, $25, 6 hours of tutorial, big names attached to it, lots of people rave about it, but if that's one of the worst tricks of 2023, that I don't get it. I don't know what else I could have done to make that trick better. I know a few people disagreed with some of the choices that were on the American receipts, and that's fine. You know, that wasn't my decision, but whatever. I'm accountable for that. But again, the files mean that you can actually change those around if you want to. But I carry around my UK receipts. I've got an American version that I carry around when I go to America. It's my everyday carry. I love that trick. I absolutely love that trick. If you catch me anywhere, you'll see me doing it. They're there. They're always there. I love it. But, you know, it's his opinion. It's his channel. If he wants to put that on there, that's fine. I just find it odd. I know all of the tricks that have come out this year. And to say that's one of the worst in 2023, especially when I don't think you own it, whatever. Him and I have a very different opinion about magic. Other than Chop. We both like Chop. But, you know, I'm not getting in a fight about it. He's got his supporters, and that's cool. And, yeah, it's his opinion. You know, his opinion, my opinion's different. Your opinion might be different. Whatever. Like I've said recently, I'm not going to get angry or upset about any of this stuff anymore. I am namaste as fuck. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Once again, thank you for joining me right here on Magic TV. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Now, if you haven't already done so, please join the Netrix. It's www.thenetrix.com. I'm putting a ton of stuff up. Monday is upload day. We've got 5 brand new tricks going up, including some absolute stonkers. I can't wait for you guys to see the stuff that's gone up this week. It's brilliant, including my empowerment routine, the best coins across of all time, where the spectator does the vanishes. Very exciting stuff. So make sure you look out for that. www.thenetrix.com. There's a review show special going up this evening. If you haven't already watched the video that I put up on the Magic Button on Friday, please do so. It's kind of an expose on exactly what's happening on the Magic Button. Here it is. Available from all good dealers and Penguin Magic. It's great. And I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.